Today is Saturday, the 22nd of February, and today I'd like to talk about why I can no longer trust the Australian ABC and its reporting and why that's very important. Four Corners, 3 weeks ago, showed a war crime and glorified it. Didn't say it was a war crime and just did it for gratuitous views. 3 years ago, I went off social media. I had over 5,000 Twitter followers. The main reason I went off social media was the Ukraine war started. I went to an anti-war demonstration in Cairns, which is a 4-hour return trip. And when I got there, I found out that it wasn't an anti-war demonstration, but a pro-Ukrainian rally. They were even taking names for people who were interested in going to Ukraine to fight. This was all okay with the Australian government, by the way. But anyway, so I went off social media, and coming on YouTube is my way of coming back on social media. I tried to go on Twitter the other week to publicise my YouTube channel, and after 3 hours of being on Twitter with a new account, I decided I didn't want to be on Twitter anymore, or X, or whatever it's called. But yeah, it's really bad that the ABC has become basically just an arm of the propaganda machine of, I won't say the Australian government, because it's sort of deeper than that. It seems like they just repeat whatever the European and British line is in regards to a lot of things. So where it gets really deep is Four Corners. Ukraine report sparks anger by the Russian government response. Russian's foreign ministry has criticised the ABC in its Four Corners program over its most recent report. They must be happy, their handlers, that they've made their handlers happy because they've made Russia angry, which took audiences inside the Ukrainian drone unit. Now, there's several things about this report. Where they said they were, if they were there a long time ago. Russia took this place about 3 or 4 months ago. Well, they certainly started. But anyway, journalist Mike Willesee travelled to the front lines in Ukraine and spent time with, I'm really bad at reading, so you'll have to bear with me. Journalist Mark Willesee travelled to the front lines in Ukraine and spent time with the Achilles Battalion, I'm sure I pronounced that wrong, to witness how they were using drones to target Russian soldiers. Russian's foreign ministry spokeswoman, Maria Sakharova, again, I've butchered that, on Friday used a weekly press briefing in Moscow to criticise the reporting, describing it as an ugly creation that invited viewers to closely observe the process of remotely killing a Russian soldier with kamikaze drones. She accused the ABC of demonising Russia, which they've been doing for 10 years. Of course, the hostility of the Australian media mainstream is nothing new, but the ABC has taken it to the level of genuine Russian phobia, she said. The criticism of the ABC was a small part of Miss Sakharova's briefing, which lasted almost 4 hours, which says a lot more about how these so-called governments that suppress everything speak to the media for 4 hours at a time. Could you imagine our government's doing that? In a statement, an ABC spokesman said the Four Corners program is an accurate and unflinching report of this aspect of Russia's Ukraine war. What it is it showed a war crime and never mentioned it was a war crime and straight up glorified it. If we go to the Four Corners report, this is another ABC boat that I just read came from the ABC. This comes from the ABC and it's a summary of a Four Corners report where, number one, the Four Corners lied about casualty numbers. They talked about Russia sending meat waves, which is an utter lie. The only people in this war sending meat waves is Ukraine, and the way the West has slaughtered the men of Ukraine on the battlefield, that's a war crime in itself. It's not technically a war crime, but morally, what the West has done over the last 3 years is horrible and vile, and we should all hang our heads in shame. But this is why I can't believe what the ABC says. If you want to know the death numbers in Ukraine at the moment, the Ukrainians are losing 1,500 men a day. I suggest everybody watch a YouTube channel called Alexander Mercurius. Every day he does a 1 hour update on what's happening in Ukraine. He watches all the horrible stuff so we don't have to. But it's well worth watching because it's totally unbiased and it's just telling you what is actually happening in Ukraine, which is not what the ABC is doing. The ABC is lying to us. So in this story, it talks about the Russian soldier huddles against a tree in a fetal position. He knows the Ukrainian drone is above him and he tries desperately to hide from it. The undergrowth is too sparse, though, and the drone can see him clearly. Sitting in a Ukrainian bunker nearby, watching a live feed from the drone, I can sense the Russians' terror. This man wasn't here, like they weren't in the town that they said that. He knows he is about to die. We arrive under the cover of darkness to avoid Russia killer drones, but the Russians are losing the war. The underground bunker is just a kilometre from the front lines, with the Russians, and well, I can entirely doubt that the reporter was ever 1 kilometre from the front lines. The ride is in a frenetic as our Ukrainian military escort fishtails along slushy dirt roads at top speed. The cramped bunker is occupied by 4 men. And it goes on, but this is the bit that I want you to. Scuba pulls on his headset, grabs a controller and begins flying a bomb-laden drone to its destination. Moments later, they have hit their first target, some Russian armour just over the Oskol River that marks the front line between Russia and Ukrainian forces. Now, the date that the ABC say that they were there and the date that they were fighting at this point are 2 different dates. But to me, it's the Russian soldier vainly trying to hide in the undergrowth that best symbolises how the 3-year-old conflict has revolutionised war, transforming it into an impersonal sci-fi horror. That's what war's always been, by the way, fought with remote aerial assassins. Warning, next section contains graphic content. I watched a live feed as a Russian cowers against a tree. Then there is what appears to be a puff of smoke as he rolls over slightly. Did you see it? He's shooting at himself, a Ukrainian soldier says over the radio. He appears to try to get up but can't. He tried to shoot himself. But shit, did he miss or what? Hell, the Russian has tried to kill himself but fails. He's still alive. Remember that. The ABC reporter's here. Well, he says he's here when this is all happening. On the screen, the Russian is still alive, lying next to a tree, writhing. The Russian's just shot himself. He's no longer a threat to anybody. A streak of blue and black enters the frame as a second drone speeds towards the soldier. Then he's gone, replaced by flames. Oh no, he's dead, he says flatly. The Ukrainian drone has finished what the doomed Russian could not. This is the 21st century warfare. It is impersonal, distinct, waged with joysticks and headsets and from behind screens, and that's a bloody war crime, and the ABC glorified it. That's simple. You can't trust the ABC anymore. I really don't have much else to say on that matter. Like the evidence, the proof is in the pudding. The Australian government, ABC, which used to be an extremely good reporting service that I could fully trust, has just glorified a war crime on our televisions.